Going to go ahead and start this Ask the Expert live session, and today we're talking to Mr. InDesign himself, Mr. David Blatner. He's part of the team that's responsible for InDesign Secrets, CreativePro.com, InDesign Magazine, InDesign Secrets Podcast, and of course, CreativePro Week. So, welcome, David Blatner. David, woo! Much applause, much applause.
It is a pleasure to be here for sure. Is a pleasure, and you really think we're live? You think this is
I am
think it's happening?
So sure we're live. It's insane.
Wow.
Yes, I am absolutely sure we're live.
It's new software.
Yes.
And whenever you try new software and a new system, it's dicey.
Yes, for sure, for sure.
It is a pleasure to be here, and I'm really glad. Thank you, Erica, for putting all this together and making these interviews happen. Erica is Erica, a lot of people don't realize that Erica is the CPN content diva, and
or
her
content
job
diva.
is to, huh?
Or the content diva.
That's true. That's true. Content diva.
Content diva.
And so she's been putting together these things, and so we're starting with a new system for doing interviews, and we figured let's just try this out. So you had some questions for me that you wanted to ask about InDesign.
I do,
So much of our audience are InDesign users.
Well, and I did call you Mr. InDesign, so I thought maybe that's a good place to start. So some of the questions had to deal with what's your favorite tool or your least favorite tool. I know some of your least favorite because they're some of my favorites, and I know we get in these arguments all the time. But
right.
What's your favorite tool in any version of InDesign? Maybe even something that doesn't exist anymore.
My favorite tool in InDesign is anything that's going to save me a lot of time at whatever I'm doing right now. Right. So styles, obviously, I mean, that's sort of a standard thing that people talk about all the time is the kind of time you can save by using styles, paragraph styles, character styles, object styles. Object styles are one of those things that people just don't use nearly enough. You really need to be using those. And, there's another style that a lot of people use or don't use. I don't think they use well enough. And that is, they don't even call it styles. It's master pages. Master pages. It wasn't until I think it was Dave Kramer who said, I like to call those master pages, I like to call them page styles. And I thought, oh my gosh, the little light bulb went off. It makes so much sense. Master pages really are page styles. They're a definition that you're going to apply to a page, and then you can change that, and the page will change, and so on. They work just like styles. So I love that idea. So style, all the styles things. But, there is something – I'm just going to throw – there's something that's even better than styles in InDesign.
Which is?
And that I like even more, and that is its extensibility. All the extensibility features, which tends to be either plugins or scripts. The scripts are extraordinary, and not nearly enough people are using scripts, and scripts can just save you so much time that it has to be my favorite top feature is the extensibility, the ability to take InDesign and make it do stuff that the Adobe engineers didn't even intend it to do.
Exactly. I call that just getting my stuff done sooner so I can get to my favorite coffee shop sooner.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, cool. Actually, I think all of that though goes back to making InDesign work for you.
Yes.
So whether it's styles or master pages or what do you call them? Page styles? I like that.
Page styles. Isn't that
I
good?
like that. Well, and it all has that cascading feature to it as well, which again
That's
makes
right.
it easier to get through that stuff. So.
And you can base one on another, right? You're basing one master page on another. So yeah, all
and
of
it takes
those
a little
things
bit of planning up in front, but I love that on the back end it just works so much quicker, especially if you're doing the same stuff over and over again. So
that's right.
Love that. So okay, so I've been doing a little digging on you. Actually, that's not true. I've known you for a very long time.
That is true.
And one of the things that I used to know you for was you talked about that other page layout software a long time ago back in the day. I'm going to call it by name. We're not going to dance around and call it Product Q. It's Quark Express. Many of us were there. Many of us were there before that. So my question, this is totally my question because I always wonder this. What is the one thing or the group of things that made you jump off the Quark ship? Because I know what made me jump. So I just wonder what made you say, oh, InDesign is so cool, I have to do that.
even before Quark Express, I was using PageMaker. I started doing page layout in the late 80s, and did a lot of PageMaker. I switched to Quark Express around 1990, well, probably 89, and just started using Quark Express all the time for everything. I loved Quark Express. It was a great, great tool. It had far more features and much more robust features than PageMaker. And I fell in love with Quark Express for going back to extensibility. It was highly extensible. It had far better typography features. It had a much better way of displaying stuff on screen in a true WYSIWYG format and so on. And it had features that just let me get my work done much faster than I could ever do with PageMaker.
Yeah, definitely.
And fast forward to 1998, and I was Mr. Quark Express. I would fly around the world and people would introduce me, like you said, I was Mr. InDesign. People would introduce me as Mr. Quark Express. I loved that program. And so Adobe, here's a little side story. Adobe calls me up and they say, would you come into our offices and look at something we're working on? And they led me in and they said, don't worry, we've taken down all the David Blatner dartboards, so it's okay. We've informed the staff that David Blatner is going to be on the premises. They bring me in and they show me this software called K2, the codename K2, which was later to become InDesign. And it was fascinating because there was an immediate hit of, oh, wait a minute. This is more extensible than Quark Express, has better typography than Quark Express. It has a lot more features than Quark Express of things I need. It displays things on screen better. And I had this deja vu back to a decade earlier when I realized InDesign was winning on all the things, all the reasons why I switched from PageMaker to Quark Express. InDesign was now doing even better, right? So by 1999, InDesign 1.0 comes out. Not that interesting. It was interesting, but not enough. It wasn't compelling enough to actually use in a production environment. But by 2001, 2002, it was faster. It was far faster. They started adding all this stuff with transparency. So they just sort of this quantum leap, right?
That's what made me jump, was that.
Yes, transparency. Also, all the issues that Quark was having with Mac OS X. Remember in the early days, Mac, it wasn't even running very well. So there was a lot of issues there that Adobe came in, but ultimately it was all the same stuff. Extensibility, typography, screen display, and then features, just adding on features. And so there was just no way for Quark to catch up at that point, and that was too bad. Now they are doing some pretty cool stuff. And I do need to say, Quark is doing some cool features that I hope that Adobe is paying attention to, because it would be nice to have some of those things in InDesign. But it's still, what Quark does not have is the whole package. Yeah. That's the other thing that led me to use InDesign, is it has the whole package: Illustrator, Photoshop, all those tools working together in a suite.
Yeah.
Which is now Creative Cloud. That's really hard to beat.
Well, I think that goes, again, like everything we're talking about, that automation and getting one thing to work, getting things to work for you and having that interoperability, that's the word, between all those applications is what makes it so cool, I think. So. Well,
and it's interesting, just to push out a little bit further, a lot of people have been asking me recently about the new Affinity. What is it?
Affinity Publisher. Yeah.
Publisher, because they've had Designer, they've had Photo, and now they've got this tool for doing layout. It's just in beta, and it's intriguing. It has some interesting aspects to it, although unfortunately it seems like its main draw is that it's cheap. Yeah. It's inexpensive. And that's not enough to want to make me to jump to ditch all the great stuff in InDesign because, for something that's just inexpensive. In the future, who knows what's going to happen? I'm hoping that Adobe is paying attention and is going to bring some of those cool features in. But what does Affinity Publisher right now is not extensible, right? At all, as far as I can tell. So it lives in its own little bubble.
Right.
It doesn't have better typography. It doesn't have better screen display. It doesn't have any of those better things. So I'm we're going to watch that space, but
Yeah.
for right now, it has not achieved the same kind of quantum jump that that InDesign did over QuarkXPress way back when.
I think you and I were talking about this recently, is that I think that it might fill that gap for the people that are using InDesign, that maybe they're not designers, but they're filling a design role in their company maybe, and just need to do a newsletter or something like that. They're not going to know the typography isn't as good. They don't probably care, and they don't need that. So I think that might be a good role. But like you say, if that happens and those people leave and then they start getting more into it and they start building in better features, then I do think that Adobe does need to sort of, keep an eye on that as well,
Sure.
So I think it'll be good for everybody as it is, It's always good to have a little bit of not competition, but just somebody that's always kind of there at your heels.
Adobe needs competition, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep.
So cool. So I'm going to switch gears and talk a little bit about the conference. And boom, here we go. You've been putting on these conferences for a long time now that have become the, the mega Creative Pro Week conference, but for almost 10 years. And I just want to know, what surprises you or still gets you excited about the conferences themselves? Like when we're at the conference, what surprises you still?
Right. Well, actually, just a minor correction. I started doing conferences back in the Thunder Lizard days, when as some people remember Thunder Lizard Productions, I was brought in as one of their first editorial directors. So I think we did the first QuarkXPress conference in 92, 93, something like that. We did the very first Photoshop conference in 94, and that was astonishing. And then I started helping with the InDesign conference. Barry was doing the InDesign conference, I think back in 2004. So
right.
I've been helping with the InDesign conference since 2004. We then acquired the InDesign conference in 2013. We started PepCon in 2010. So I know there's been a lot of event related stuff. We've been doing events for a very, very long time and having a great time at it. And so you asked, what's the surprise, or where's the excitement? And it's a little thing. It's a little thing that turns out to be really big, and that is conferences, live events, which for a lot of people, they don't get a chance to go to the live events because they're like, well, there's online training, there's, everything's on the internet now, or you could do even quote live unquote like these interviews right here.
Right.
But something happens at a truly live event where you actually put a bunch of people in a room and you put on a conference, and that is connections. Connections are made, and I'm not talking about just learning. I'm learning the information. And I'm not talking just about the connections of two people meeting. I'm talking about a much bigger kind of experience where you're meeting people, you're asking questions, you're getting data, you're learning new things, you're getting different perspectives, and it all comes together. And connections is the only word that comes to me. There's some kind of magic that happens when you have all of that happening live in real time.
It's an energy. It
is.
Yeah.
There's an energy, and it's an energy that converts. It's like energy to matter.
Right.
It's energy that converts into truly becoming more efficient and more productive in people's work. And so, great example. I love at conferences coming around a corner and seeing a group of people who never get a chance. Maybe they hadn't even known each other before, but they're sitting at a table and you can just tell, boom, boom, boom. They're talking about, I do it this way. I do it this way. Oh, wait, you do it that way? That's great. And then a third person comes in and says, well, what if you added this tool? And all of a sudden their brains explode because it's like, it's magic. It's connections. It's the connections that happen. Or you've got to, you walk into a room and you're seeing people watching something on stage, information that they never would have experienced. Great example, Bill Jelen. Bill Jelen came and did a whole session on Excel for InDesign users at the CreativePro Conference, CreativePro Week in New Orleans this past June. And everybody was like, I don't know, Excel for what are you talking about? And I have to tell you, it was one of the highest rated sessions because people were walking out of there going, oh my gosh, I had no idea. And that is going to be so incredibly useful. So it was fascinating because when you're at a live event, that kind of connection can happen in a way that you just would never get when you're sitting at your desk. Just doesn't happen.
Exactly. And as a speaker, that to me is what I love about them, is that energy and that connection too. I can talk to a screen. I mean, at least here I'm talking to you, but if I do like online stuff, sometimes there's not that feedback and that energy. And I think all that energy feeds on itself. Like you say, it turns into something else, not just more energy. It turns into knowledge and excitement and drive and just everything that we could, that we creative people sort of crave. So, yeah.
It may be in some ways that it's the essence of wisdom. It's the movement from information gathering to wisdom, the actual application. How are you going to use this, and why are you going to use this? That's the kind of stuff that comes out of Creative Pro Week. And I don't mean to get woo-woo, or I don't mean to get, too philosophical about it, but it really is the kind of thing. I've been doing this for so long because I see that at live events, and you just don't get that anywhere else.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, you can get that at user groups. I love the user groups. I really encourage people to go to user groups wherever you are in the world. But it's still different when you've got a small group at a user group versus, 700 people at the conference or
right.
whatever.
And they tend to be from all over the world, especially.
That's true.
I mean, to meet these people, and to see these people every year, there's someone that comes from Poland. I forgot his name, of course.
Yes.
But he has a very distinct haircut, and you can't miss him when you see him. And I saw him, and I'm like, it's the guy from Poland. And I was so excited because it's interesting to hear what everybody's doing differently from around the world, but then also how some of the struggles are just exactly the same. And so you don't get that. If you've got a local user group, that's great, but you're going to sort of have a little bit more narrow perspective on it. And I love the wide perspective that you get with the conferences. So we mentioned with the conferences that we're coming up on a big anniversary for it. We're coming up on the 10-year anniversary of it, and also a big anniversary for InDesign.
Yes,
so you're bringing it all home to Seattle. What's the significance of that, and what will surprise newcomers or even old-timers like us about Creative Pro Week 2019?
So 2019 is going to be in Seattle, as you mentioned, June 10th through 14th. I have to get that little plug in there. June 10th through 14th in Seattle. Go to CreativeProWeek.com.
It's on the screen right now, only I didn't
put
the dates. That'll do next time. So, see, we're learning. We're learning.
I can't see the Facebook screen.
Yeah.
So that's funny. So it is our 10th PepCon. So we started doing PepCon, the Print and E-Publishing Conference, in 2010. And so this is going to be our 10th PepCon conference. But what's really exciting about 2019, Mike Zahorik at Adobe pointed this out at the last event. He pulled me aside and he said, 2019 is a special year, right? And I said, what do you mean? He said, it's the 20th anniversary of InDesign. It's the 20th birthday. And I thought, oh, well, that's something to celebrate. So all of a sudden, I got very excited. We're going to have a party. This is going to be a wonderful party for any InDesign user around the world. Come to Seattle and help us celebrate the 20th birthday of InDesign. And we're going to have a fun party. And one of the best parts about it that I think will really tickle people is that we're going to have a number of the original architects, original programmers from InDesign. We're going to be inviting them as well. So we're trying to pull together it's not just for history, it's for the foundations. They built the foundations on which we make our living. This is what creates magazines and books and newspapers and advertisements all around the world. It's all based on the work that they did throughout the 90s. So we want to celebrate that.
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to that so much. So
now, of course, obviously it's not just a party, right?
Right.
We're going to have
it's a learning party. That's what it is. It is.
It's going to be 5 days of Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, PDF, EPUB, web apps,
presentation design.
Thank you. Presentation design with PowerPoint, Keynote, Google Slides, and some other really cool new tools I'm hoping we're going to get sneak peeks of. All kinds of stuff that's going to be happening that week for creative professionals. And I think, like I said, connections will be made.
Yeah, definitely. Sure. And I just want to let people in on a secret that there actually is sunshine here. in Seattle and in June, and I hope it won't be as hot and humid as it was in New Orleans.
Oh my God. Yes. Yeah,
so we don't want you to think you have to come ready for the torrential downpour, but don't tell anybody because I got in and now I don't want anybody else to come, so we're good.
That's right. Right. Now Seattle can be really, really beautiful. You never know. You never know in June, but I think it's going to be nice. I think it'll be great. There's another secret that we need to let people know about. Yes. It's actually not a secret at all, but nice segue though. If you sign up for Creative Pro Week this month, this is September right now when we're doing this the live interview. If you do it by the end of September and you get a platinum pass, that's the full 5-day pass, then you automatically get a virtual pass for 2018. That's all the recordings, all the speaker notes, and all the video recordings from our 2018 show. So it's really like getting 2 different conferences for one, which I think that's pretty cool. And so it's 2 for 1. And if you're a nonprofit or a government agency or you work for a school, you can get $100 off by emailing us, and we'll get you a code for that as well. So platinum pass by the end of the month for sure.
Excellent.
Check it out.
Cool.
Yeah, that's our little September special.
Nice. I am so looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to being in Seattle, not just because I'm here now, but I think it's a great way, like I said, to wrap it back up with where it started, where PepCon started, and where InDesign, of course, started. And
that's true. It's a good point. I guess we didn't really say. A lot of people may not realize that InDesign originated. The programmers were all mostly in Seattle.
In Seattle,
so,
yeah.
Yep.
So I think it's a kind of good tie-in for that. But I'm excited about it, and can't wait to see everybody that comes. So thank you. It's so much fun always talking with you, David, and hearing about stuff. And hopefully I was reading everybody's comments, so everybody was really excited. They liked the InDesign or the Quark Express Bible, and they read all your stuff. And so apparently some of us,
not the Bible. I didn't do the Bible. I did the Quark Express book.
The book.
Which unfortunately people called it the Quark Express Bible, but
that's what we call it. That's what's important, you know.
I know. But then somebody else, Galen,
made an actual book called that. Yeah.
Did a book called the Quark Express Bible, and was like, well, there goes that moniker.
Exactly. Mark wants to know if I have lived in most cities that Creative Pro has held events. Strangely, no. No, I haven't actually. Let's make that go away. There we go. See, I'm still trying to play with all these panels and get all the titles to come up. But
that's cool.
So I'm looking forward to it. I hope everybody goes and checks out CreativePro.com and looks at everything the conference is there. And then come hang out with us and talk to David, talk to me, talk to all the other experts that we're going to talk to in the coming months, and come join and make connections with us while we're there.
This is going to be great. Having these kinds of interviews we're going to be doing regularly now with a lot of the people who will be speaking at the event, and a lot of people who may not be able to come to the event, but we still want to interview them and talk to them about
and
their work.
If you have people that you want us to talk to, maybe someone we don't even know about that you just think is, someone that you really maybe follow on Instagram or really into their work or on Behance or whatever, let us know. It's asktheexperts@creativepro.com. I'll put that up in the comments or something, so that's a permanent record there. And I'll make a new slide, and we'll have that too that we can put up next time.
That's a good idea. That's a really good idea.
So so we're looking forward to doing more of the Ask the Experts, and at any time that you have a question for someone, let us know, send us an email, and we'll be able to ask those experts. So thank you, David. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Erica, so much for pulling this together. All right.
Have a good one. All right, thanks.
Take care.
Bye.
See y'all later.